Hi, and welcome back to Untethered. It will probably be loud with distractions because I'm dog sitting, and true to form, whenever I try to speak, just like right now, the fridge turned on. Fridge has been off all morning. Just turned on. Dogs have been quiet. Now they want to go outside. But I was thinking about where I was born this morning because I was chatting with someone. And I realized that for me, my identity has always been a question for me. From what I look like, has been pretty, what's the word? Not questionable, that's the wrong word, but people don't know what race I am, and I live in the United States, which is where that's very important. So people make assumptions about that. People make assumptions about my class, what like financial class I'm in because of the way I speak. I don't know my origin story. And that's one that I don't think I grasped how much of an impact something like that makes. Think about your origin story. What do you know? And maybe I should start asking people because this isn't something I've really considered. But do most people know how or why they were created? Do most people know their parents' origin story? Do you know where your parents met? Do you know when they got married? Do you know where they got married? How long were they married before or after you were born? Who asked whom to get married? Do you know the proposal story? Do you know how your mom told your dad she was pregnant? Do you know anything about your birth? Do you know what time you were born? That's a huge one for me. That's huge because I do like to get psychic readings and I would love to have a birth chart, but I don't know what time I was born. It's not on my birth certificate. I don't know. I've heard stories along the way about how I got my name. I don't know if it's true because I've heard different versions of a lot of things. Like, I didn't know that my mom ran away to be with my dad, or that she may have been married more times than I know. I don't know when my parents got married. I know they met at some point in high school. I don't know how long they were together before she got pregnant with me. They could have been together for a month. I don't know. Um, did she have a job at the time? I know my dad was in the army and I was born on an army base, but yeah, my origin details are very sketch, and not knowing even that side of the family, I don't know anything from that side of the family except stories that may or may not be true. And even from the side of the family that I very loosely say grew up with, because I didn't really grow up with them. I don't know the truth. I don't know my true origin stories because there were a lot of lies there, and all of it isn't malicious. It's not all malicious, secretive lies. It some of it was for racial purposes because my grandparents grew up in a time when they had to be cognizant of their appearance. Oddly enough, the person who was more quote unquote black, my grandfather was a white passing. He was a very light skinned black man. But my grandmother, who was born in, well, who I thought was born in Puerto Rico until she died and her birth certificate said she was born in Brooklyn, New York. So again, I don't know. My whole life I thought my grandmother was born in Puerto Rico and that English was her second language. But somehow her birth certificate says she was born in Brooklyn, New York. I don't even know if her children know that because I talked to one when she died and she just said, I don't know. So my origin, as you can tell, my origin story from both sides of the family is very vague, very blurry, and mysterious. So I've had to kind of create myself from nothing. And I've always been scared of that because I feel like I'm supposed to fit in a box and I've never fit in a box. At this point, I think I've just kind of eked out who I am and just this is it, but I've never fully felt like I belong somewhere. Where I'm at now is probably the most I've ever felt that I belong in a community so far, other than when I stayed at that tiny home community. But that was still part of a bigger city. But where I live now, a bunch of amidst, I'm not sure, one of those, among nomads and a big traveling community. I feel more like I belong, and I think that's because we're a bunch of people who just don't really belong anywhere. But sometimes and maybe it's because it's the holidays and people are relying on tradition. I don't really have any traditions. I don't have a lot of old family stories that are passed down. Like, I don't even have my own family stories, just my own experiences, So, I just wanted to talk about that today because I think that a lack of an origin story has left me feeling lost for longer than most people do. Most people by 46 have kind of found themselves. And I think that's something that has held me back, and I should work to get over it and just make my own story. It can be whatever I want. Who cares? Like, who's really going to care? Who's really going to know? I can make it whatever I want. So that's something I'm going to just work at. It's like getting over. Yeah, I don't know my past. I don't know my history. I don't know my family's history. I don't know. Maybe I was a fucking alien. Maybe I just was saved on the side of a building. But I should probably also look into, maybe that's normal. Maybe most people don't know that information. Maybe most people don't know how your parents met or proposed or something. So maybe it's just, I gotta get over myself. Either way, it's a sunny Friday, and I shouldn't be keeping myself inside, so I'm gonna go, but I do thank you for listening.